Hello crafty friends, this is the Paper Chef here. In today's Ink It Up tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do two-step stamping using the Stamparatus. It's a stamp positioning tool we sell at Stampin' Up, and it's a wonderful, wonderful time saver. Okay, so you can do what I'm showing you with stamping blocks, and I've done it many times with stamping blocks. These are just our stamping blocks, because you can see through, after you do the black part of your stamping, you can see through and then you could do the next shade. But when you precisely line up these different stamp pieces with your Stamparatus, you just have a lot easier time. Now the Stamparatus comes, before I put my little pieces together, it does come with two plates. So this is the base. Before I show you the plates, this is the base, and it has a little grid on there, and it's a really, really strong magnetic platform. Okay, so and it comes with this little cushion. It's a little sponge. Now, these magnets are super, super strong, so they're going to fly into each other if I get them anywhere near each other. That's why I have them on other sides. What they're doing is holding down the platform. So that alone helps a lot because it makes the platform not slip. But you need to do some other things to keep things from slipping or to keep things lined up. And one thing I like to do is put a piece of painter's tape there so that when I'm stamping, and let's say this is our little piece of paper, we can then put things in the same position each time, which is nice. Okay, so that's one thing I'm going to do. So let's put that down with a magnet, and the squirrel will go here. And the reason I did that is that way I can use the squirrel as it is. This could be a card base, or I can use the squirrel later on. Like I'm going to show you 7 projects I created with this technique, and I can either cut these out with the scan and cut later. I can then die cut them. They're nice. They're all by themselves, so the space is around them. You're going to see what I did with them. Okay, so now what I want to show you is that you're going to get 2 plates with your Stamparatus if you purchase the Stamparatus. And I have 3 plates because, I mean, not only did I buy a couple of these Stamparatus, but I think what happened is, and I'm pretty sure, when they first came out with this, there was a thing where demonstrators were allowed to get extra plates. So that's why I have 3 plates here. So having an extra plate is just really helpful. I wish they just sold those still, and maybe they do. And if any of my team members are here, like, let me know. But I really don't think we sell separate plates. But you could do everything I'm showing you with just 2 plates. Okay, so let's do the squirrel without the acorn first. Let's see, or is he holding an acorn? No, he's not holding an acorn. So see what I'm doing first is I'm going to do, see this little piece. I'm going to do that little squirrel first. Okay, let's put, just want to see, I just got to make sure I get the right. This guy is holding an acorn, I believe. Yes, this little guy's holding an acorn. So we'll put him over here. I don't want to confuse you. Or here's, wait, he was holding he's the one holding the acorn. Okay, here we go. This is the one we're doing first. See? So what I'm doing first is this little squirrel. Okay, we're going to do both squirrels. Don't worry, we'll do both squirrels. So I think it's easier when you stamp the black part first. Now I have these lined up, but it doesn't matter because later in the video, because I've already done, oh look, there's some kind of weird funky thing with my lighting. I was trying to get the bright light from the window. What can I put under there so that doesn't annoy us all? Let's see if I can put my other little, yeah, nope. It's just going to do it. It's going to do it. It's going to be like the reflection of my hair. I hate that. Here we go. Just for a second. I'm just putting something there just to block the lights from the ceiling. You know, I'm going to be changing positions again after a while because that will annoy me. Okay, so what you need to do is, and I'm going to give you different tips and tricks. So I think the first thing to talk about is just the Memento Black. So this is a good color for stamping your black part of your squirrel because not only can you then color it with all kinds of things, whether it be alcohol markers, they won't, like our Stampin' Blends, they won't streak. We can use daubers, we can use we're going to do some daubering. You can use blender pens and just use dye-based ink, and they won't splatter all over or smear all over. I'm just putting that there to block those lights, right? I wonder if I'm not going to move my setup. I'm just going to. The show must go on because if I move my setup, then maybe my Wi-Fi won't work in the same because I've already tested everything, right? So I have to kind of go with the setup. But next time we know. We live and learn. This is not a good spot to do a video because there's ceiling lights right there. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to do the black part. Okay, Memento Black. And if you don't push down hard enough and you don't get a good image, then you can do it again. That's the beauty of having a Stamparatus. Ba-boom, ba-boom, you do it again. But that's a nice crisp image. So then what you do is you take your stamp out and you line it up and you line it up and you put it on. And I'll do that later with you. And you just put it on the plate. And then, see, that's the other side of the plate. You see how I just flipped the plate around? Is that cool or what? So I can use both sides of my plate. And now I take another color. So let's say we want to make, let's make a crumb cake squirrel. Okay? So we flip the crumb cake open and we ink up the crumb cake. Okay? And we ink up the crumb cake and we then lower it down. And if we didn't ink it up enough, then we can fix it. So this is called two-step stamping. The first step being the black and the second step being the crumb cake. Is that fantastic or what? So it looks like it could use a little more on the little area there. So it doesn't need any more in the tail. So I just did a little bit of daubing or whatever. Okay. So there you have it. So that's a little dark for me. We'll do another one. And while I do the next one, I'm going to show you something else, like another tip and trick. All right, so let's not make the next one as dark. Oop, piece of hair. Hate when hairs get in my videos. All right. Doesn't matter that I put my hair in a ponytail. I shed all the time. So when you have your Stamparatus lined up like this, right? Now that it's lined up, it really doesn't matter which order I do things in. So instead of flipping that around, let's do the crumb cake first. Right? See what I did? The crumb cake first. I'm going to flip it around. And I'm going to do the black part, the Memento Black. And you always got to just kind of push in the middle. There's a little sponge there, so it's all good. Is that fantastic or what? Now let me just do something now. I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to give you a little tip and trick here. So we have it flipped over. Now this little part, here, let's stick something there so the light doesn't get in your way. That light from the ceiling. So we're going to take this little guy and we're going to do some cool thing to it. Okay, we're going to take you can either take your cinnamon cider, but I think it works good with the Cajun craze, or cinnamon cider. Okay, and you're just going to go like this with your sponge dauber. Right? And then you're going to We're going to make a red squirrel. But he's a little dark, so we're not going to make a fully red squirrel. We're going to just kind of, you know what I mean? I rubbed off, it got a little dark in places. I just want to dauber it around. So I don't want to make a fully red squirrel. Okay, we're just going to I just put some Cajun craze on it. Isn't there such a thing as a red squirrel, or is it a red fox? But this is a cool squirrel color. Basically, you want to use fall colors. All right, now, the magic of this. Look at that. I hope you can see that texture. So you have see, his little leg is still, I didn't put anything on his little leg. You got the crumb cake in the back and you got the Cajun craze in the front. So how fun is that? So let's do this. Let's just take these off. Let's do this. We need to take, so I'm going to do a baby wipe. Because if you're ever going to put them back in their case, I always, baby wipe them real quick. So here's what we're going to do. Let these dry for a minute. I want to show you how to do the mounting later on in the video, so I just want those to dry a little bit. Because I don't want you to be like, how did she get these mounted onto the Stamparatus? So we're going to mount them ourselves later. They're just drying a bit. So that'll be good. That'll be fun. Now I'm going to take the other one. So this plate is over there to dry, these little guys. So where they would be in your case, these cases, I've pretty much used every stamp for this tutorial except for the happy birthday. So now our stamps are coming like this with just on a piece of plastic. And now to store them, I even used this little leaf. To store them, we just put them back in there. See? They just kind of match up on the back of the case. Isn't that cool? And it does get stained. Your stamps get stained a little bit. So now the reason why I did that this squirrel first, is because this next squirrel is really 4-step stamping. Although we call it 2-step stamping. We got the squirrel, we got his little fur, we got the acorn he's holding. I'm sorry, this part. We got the acorn bottom he's holding, and we got the top of the acorn. So now we need to do like sort of 4-step stamping for that little guy. No big deal. It's not scary. It's the same process, but I like to build up to it. So we're going to put, all right, we already have these open. So this is open. We need our ink. I'm going to use all of them for this. I'm going to use my Cajun Craze, my cinnamon cider, my Cajun Craze, and my crumb cake. Just basically, I just grabbed fall colors. You could use Sahara sand. You could use any browns that you have, any browns that you want. All right, we're going to do this again. And let's get a piece of, this is just a card base, or it might be a little bit bigger. I just took an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper and I cut it in 4. The important thing is that I'm lining this up with that. That way I just know that my squirrel is going to fit on this paper and I can use this later as the whole card base. So now let's take my plates and we're going to, okay, let's see. So this plate, let's see. See how the squirrel is like this? So this plate is going to be on the top now. See? It's on the top. Okay, now let's move the ink over. Let's move the ink around this side here. We'll move the ink over here. So these hinges are just great. So let's put that there. We need our black for a second. Put that down there. I'm such a messy crafter. It doesn't even matter that I put plastic on my table. I'm going to have a huge mess by the time I'm done. Now this plate, this one is going to be the fur, right? There's the fur. I stick that on this side. Okay, so watch how I do 4-step stamping. We're going to open this up. Let's move everything in the view of the camera. And we're going, here, maybe I could do this. Ooh, without doing the whole setup. Ooh, that might work. The ink almost hit the floor, but I think that might, I think I got rid of that darn light. Yay! Without having to move my whole darn setup. So we're going to now take this part and we're going to ink up that with Memento ink. So we're going to go ahead and tap, tap, tap. Memento black ink. Lower it down. And the reason I'm using that like little part of the mat is because, or part of the Stamparatus is you could do the best pressure. This somewhere in the middle of your Stamparatus is the best pressure. So you can get a good even stamp. So I only had to stamp it once, which is nice. So let's go ahead and stamp in, always start with the lightest color, because then you can dauber over it. So I'm just doing a little bit of crumb cake over there. I didn't do it too heavy. Okay. So now I'm going to dauber over it. Oops, my thing slipped a little. If it's going to slip a little, grab just the magnet and lift it back up and put it back down. In other words, leave one of the magnets in place so that your little setup doesn't move around. I'm going to go ahead and dauber some Cajun Craze on there. Okay, and we'll slower this. I think I got a little too much Cajun Craze on there. All right, we'll see. We'll see if I did or didn't. We'll press how hard I have to press. Okay, pretty cool. And it did slip a little bit, but we'll do it again. Oh no, we got to do the acorn. Okay, we'll do the acorn and then we'll get back to it. We'll do another one of these. Okay, so in the acorn, I have it all set up. We're going to flip it around. Lift it up. See, I used the back of this plate. That's why we're calling this tips and tricks. Use all your backs. So see where there's little acorns on the back of the plate. Lower it down. So now we'll use cinnamon cider for the bottom of the acorn. Now you could use stamping spots. They're little stamping spots, which it's just fine too. And I'm just using a whole stamping pad. Oops, it didn't line up because I have to do this again because my paper slipped. But I'm going to flip this around and do the top of the acorn. I'm not real hung up on it. I just need to get the paper not to slip. That's what the magnet's for. And sometimes I'm just going to do the top of the acorn. Okay, so there's the top of the acorn. I'll show you how I got the other parts of the squirrel colored later, because this is just 2-step stamping. That was 4-step stamping. Now we'll do this again. Hopefully our papers won't slip, because I know that, oops, do you hear those magnets cling together? Yikes, yikes, yikes. See, I can barely get them apart. I'm not even kidding. They're so strong. So maybe if we do that and that, they'll stop slipping. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and do the acorn first. do whatever you want first because it's already there. And again, I think that it's easier to put things in the middle there because of where you can push. Okay, so that's the top of the acorn. And then we're going to do the bottom of the acorn. We'll do cinnamon cider. And press on it. Cool, right? We have an acorn. Now we're going to flip this around. It doesn't matter that the whole Stamparatus slips. That doesn't matter, right? Because this is not supposed to slip, this piece of paper. The whole Stamparatus can slip all over your table like it's been doing. I'm going to do a little bit of crumb cake. But you know what? This time I think my crumb cakes have been coming out too dark. So I'm going to, before I even stamp down this crumb cake, let's go ahead and get some of that ink off of it. Or kind of smear this little Cajun craze in with it, right? It'll get my acorn, not my acorn, but my crumb cake part not to be that dark because I'm kind of blotching the little Cajun craze over it. So maybe that'll help so it's not so dark. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now, we're going to lower got to do the black part now. So you just got to remember to flip this over. Give it a flip. Now there's just a little bit of wiggle room, so you have to decide, like, so sometimes this does wiggle a tiny bit. So sometimes, you know, just make sure you're just kind of not wiggling it, that it's just lowering down. Because if you wiggle it just a little bit, it goes off a little bit, but that's fine. I just try not to wiggle it too much. But I'm not hung up on it. I got some that were off center and they still looked really cool. And it sure beats trying to color them with, you know, manually. Okay, I'm going to press down. Oh! I'm so happy with this one. I'm so happy with this little squirrel. He came out so cute. All right, let's move this and show you. I mean, yes, you know, this little part got a little messed up, my acorn. But that's okay because we can fix it. All right, so now what I told you I would do, and and we can do this. Oh, we could do this with leaves. Okay. We'll go ahead and do it with the leaf, and then we'll go ahead and do it with this now. I need a baby wipe, and then I could do it with the leaf. So when I was first making my crafts, I didn't realize like that I had the inside of a leaf. I was like, oh, what a cool little texture, and it ended up being like the veins of my leaf. So I didn't realize I had a leaf there with veins, or are they called veins? I think they're called veins. These things. So I was like, oh, what a cool little branch, or what a cool little twig. But it's actually the inside of this leaf. So let's do two-step stamping with that, and then we'll do two-step stamping with that. And then you're going to get to see how to set it up, right? So that's cool. So we will so what you do is you're going to take this is an empty Stamparatus plate. Doesn't have anything on it, right? And we're going to put the little leaf on a piece of paper. Oh, let's just use Very Vanilla, because I have a piece of Very Vanilla. Okay, I was going to try it with. So we're going to put the leaf up there. We're going to just go like this. Lower. Right? Oops. You didn't stamp it yet. So look, put the magnet down. Doesn't matter because you didn't stamp it yet. Put the paper down, put the magnet down. And it's stuck on the plate. See how it's stuck on the plate? So now what you're going to do is you're going to ink up the leaf. Again, always start with your light color. So we're going to use some crumb cake there. Pumpkin pie would be cute, all those colors. Okay, we got a leaf. Hope that makes sense so far. If not, please ask questions. So now you're going to take your Stamparatus. I'm just baby wiping it so we don't get like little squares. Okay, we're going to flip it over. Now here's the magic, and we'll do this with the squirrel too. We need to find those little veins. Here we go. We're going to go like this. And you're going to stick it. This is not inked up yet, right? So you're going to go like this. You're going to stick it right where it goes. Flat side up, because you got to get the flat side to hook onto your Stamparatus plate. So we're going to stick that like that. Here, just stick it on there. It's kind of sticking in my hand. I'm stuck on you. All right. Okay. I think that'll work, but if not, we can always, you know, adjust it later. Push down, lift it up, flip it over, get a darker color. We've used crumb cake earlier. Now I'm going to use cinnamon cider. Wipe off those parts because that's why I said Stampin' spots are better because they don't put these extra pieces of like, you know, ink on the weird places. But if you don't have a stamping spot, I can show you what that looks like. I have some stamping spots. Isn't that cool? So we just did a little, here, we'll bring it up to the camera so you can see it. Put a little bit of the inside of the leaf. Pretty cool, right? So that's how you do, that's how you set up your Stamparatus. Now let's do it with the Mr. Squirrel. Okay, and once you have it set up though, do what I do. Like so, let me just wipe these off because I ink it. Well, you know, when you have these all set up, your plates, you'll see, I'm going to show you 7 projects later. I didn't move all my stuff. I'm only doing that for the sake of teaching. I left it there. You just keep stamping, stamping, stamping. All right, so what we're doing is I'm showing you start to finish. You come along, you're like, what is this Stamparatus thing that I bought? How do I use it, right? You're like, what do I do? Okay, so here's what you do. You open up your stamp set. You're like, oh my goodness, what is all this stuff? So you take your little squirrel and you stick it on your paper, and there's your little squirrel, and you put it flat side up. See? Slap your squirrel down, flat side up. There you go. You're going to lower your plate, and you're going to, okay, it's just trying to stick because it does stick more. Let's make sure it sticks more, but when it has ink on it, it doesn't stick as much. Now we're gonna ink up the black part. We're gonna do black. A little bit of extra ink on there. Okay. Lower it down. Press this. Okay, got a nice clean squirrel there. Now what you're going to do is you're going to now say, okay, now what? So we get our little, this is what you do next. You get your little piece out of your case and you say, okay, well, thank God Stampin' Up! Gave me a semi-transparent block and it has this little, something blacks on it. Let me see. I think I got some dirt on it. Okay, good. I think I got it cleaned off. Let it be dry. Definitely want these to be dry. So then you go, oh, cool, I have a semi-transparent piece, and I've done my black part. So here's how you do it. So the flat part's up, and you just stick it on there, and you put it exactly where it goes, give or take. I mean, it's not a problem if it's a little off, because then it looks like you're doing some kind of artistic effect anyway. And you can always, change it later. So something like that. Okay, but you can't do this part again because you can't stick it to the part you just stamped. You got to take your Stamparatus and you got to flip it around, right? Flip it around any which way, but you got to flip it around. So use this. We haven't used this side of the Stamparatus yet, right? So we're going to lower it. Don't worry that that's in the way. That's exactly precisely lined up, so that's a good thing that it's in the way, right? You want that to be in the way. So hold your little, oops, it did just move though. The problem with that is going to be, the problem is this thing just moved. So hopefully we might have to line it up again because this does stick like a lot. So let's get this guy to not move. And where's my painter's tape? Just the first time. You don't need to keep painter's tape on your stuff all the time. I don't want this thing to move when I lift my squirrel because I want to show you how easy it is, and I don't want this to be all kinds of complicated because it's very easy to do this. It's actually even easy to do with Stampin' blocks. There's these little places that don't ink up and they're kind of helping you line up things. You can't see it as much as I could see it, but there's little holes and they sort of help me. There's like a curve of his body. There's like a little line on his body. Anyway, it helps me line up things a little bit better. All right, so I'm going to lower that down and hopefully my paper won't move. My paper's trying to move. Darn it. This is what I'm going to stick my spatula in there. Stay, paper. Stay. Okay, hopefully my paper didn't move too much. Okay, so now we're going to ink it up. A little bit of crumb cake. And if you want to get some of your crumb cake off, you just kind of a little bit of my... If you don't, like I'm just using an uninked dauber. Like I didn't ink the dauber. I'm trying to remove ink because I don't want it to be so much ink. So I removed a bit of ink from the dauber. Okay, pretty cool. Now we're going to add ink to this. So that was the crumb cake part. Now we're going to add, I'm going to take this one, and this is the Cajun Craze part. So, and then I'm going to kind of go around on my squirrel, and I'm going to cover it all with Cajun Craze. Pretty cool, right? So that's how you do it. Let's move this over here. And now for the fill-in. So that was well, let's do it again, because the whole point of doing this is, say you have a card swap and you have all kinds of, no, and by the way, this isn't going to stick. Next time you try to lower the platform and raise it, it's not going to stick to the paper anymore. It's only when it doesn't have ink on it. Okay, so let's do this again. Let's get a piece of white, because that was very vanilla. Put this here, whole process, start to finish. We're going to go bloop, bloop with our magnet. And if you want tape for extra good measure, we're going to use this side. That side is already there, so we'll just go ahead and ink up the crumb cake. A little bit of extra, too much ink on the crumb cake. Remove some ink. That's your tip and trick part. I told you we can show you tips and tricks, right? Okay, pretty cool, right? Now we're going to add some ink. We're going to go ahead and add a little bit of Cajun Craze, just using the corner of my Cajun Craze. That way, the reason I'm using the corner is for a couple reasons. If I use the corner, I'm not messing up where I'm trying to do my sentiments. I'm not messing this up, right? So I'm using the corner so that if I end up mixing crumb cake and Cajun Craze, I'm not messing with my sentiment, okay? So we're going to go down there. Let's put a little Cajun Craze on his feet even. Okay, little Cajun Craze on his feet. Okay, so you see that cool little effect? Okay, we're going to take that. We're going to flip it around. Flip it like this. And we're going to do the black. Okay, let me close this, because I think I'm done with that part. I'm going to show you a little die cutting next. But let's close these, because as much as I'm trying not to get ink on everything in God's creation here, we got ink. See how much ink is everywhere? All right, where was I? I was going to do Memento Black there to finish up this Mr. Squirrel. Ah, how cool. He's so cool. Okay, now we're gonna take our, okay, let's close all this. We're gonna take our markers. We're gonna fill in those spots. You can fill them in with daubers or markers. Let me go ahead and get the ink up off the table. Cleaning up my Stamparatus. I'm done with this part. So now, while it's there though, let it sit there on the magnet, because at least we'll use the magnet. Take advantage of your magnet for this next part. So we're going to stick in some ink there. We're going to put the sentiments on it. So because of where I was using these a lot, in the different projects I was using them, I'm using Blackberry Bliss, because some of the paper in my projects was this paper here. It's the let's see, Blackberry Beauty. Oh my gosh, how did I forget the name of it? Blackberry Beauty? Well, you know what? My ephemera pack would tell me, because I use some of this ephemera too. Let's see where the darn, oh, I can't even find the instructions. Here it is. Can't believe I forgot the name of this. I use it all the time. Blackberry Beauty. I use the Blackberry Beauty Designer Series paper because it's nice in fall colors. And then for a lot of my projects, I use the Blackberry Beauty ephemera packs. So let me show you that. And that's why I'm using Blackberry Beauty right now. See? Showing you this just real quick. Real quick. These are cut 6 by 6 because of my paper shares. That's what size I have them. So I had to break into my paper shares. All right, so there you go. So that's what Blackberry Beauty is. Then this is the ephemera packs. So I was using some of that in my projects. These go with it. So that's why I'm using Blackberry Bliss right now. By the way, to stamp the sentiment. All right, so now that you know that, we're going to take the little stamping spot and we're going to put something right there. Nuts about you, okay? Tap, tap, tap. I just like to do my sentiments this way because I put them all over the place. I'm not using the Stamparatus for my sentiments because I'm put the sentiments all over. You'll see, I put them on tags, I put them on other things. So that's why I'm using this little method of using, like, see how my sentiments are there? Hey there, nuts about you, a little branch. We can even, here, we'll put a branch under him so he stands on the branch. We'll put a cinnamon cider branch. Let me take this off for a second. Put that over there. And if we can fit the hey there, we'll do that too. But I'm going to go ahead and tap, tap, tap. So the branches go in different spots. That's why I'm not, I think the hey there is not inked up. That's why I'm just sort of putting them on as I need them. Okay, little branch. He's walking on the branch. That's cool. And I might put the hey there. But first you got to decide what you're going to do with this. So if you're going to use a die, which I'll show you, right? Here's the die. Put the die down before you try to do the other sentiment. So that's, oops, boy, talk about magnetic, right? Okay. I didn't mean for the magnet to be like touching the die. I'm just trying to use it for a guide. And it's going to go flying toward the magnet. That's how strong the magnet is. See? Stay. Okay, what I'm trying to do is, does hey there fit? That's all I'm trying to do. And hey there fits. So I'm going to go ahead and let that thing take off. See? It's going to take off. It's no problem because I just wanted to make sure hey there fits right there, and it does. Okay, so now we're going to take the hey there. Take the little branch off so it doesn't get ink somewhere in weird places. And now we'll use Cajun Craze. And you see why I'm using the sentiments. I'm not using the Stamparatus for the sentiments because it all depends. Right? Where am I going to put the sentiments? It depends. Am I die cutting? Am I using the scan and cut? Right? So we're going to just lay him here. Lay him here and go. I can go ahead and put him right up there in the middle. Okay, that'll work. Hey there. Okay, cool. So we have a cool little thing to put there. Now we're going to take, before we die cut him, do everything you got to do to him first. We're going to get I'm using ivory. Yeah, ivory. Just to fill in these little spots that got, oops, I think I better use my small side. Ivory it's sort of some spots got missed. So I'm just using ivory for those. Just like, because of the little bit of whites, or just I want to fill in the ears. Okay. Now I'm going to take my crumb cake. I'm using, by the way, alcohol markers right now. Stampin' Blends. You're going to take your crumb cake. Yeah, you can use your thick side of your crumb cake. You don't have to use the thin side, unless you're just trying to get around the edges. I think I'll use the thick side, and then I'll use. And you don't even have to do this. You could have sponge daubered. So if you don't have Stampin' Blends, take your sponge dauber, right? And make yourself a little mask if you want, so the ink doesn't go everywhere. But if it does, it's all good because it's artistic. If it starts smearing all over the place, go. You'll see how I did that on some of my squirrels later. I went like this all over just to make it look like I was trying to go for the halo effect. So don't worry. Don't sweat the small stuff. It's only ink, right? So we're going to now, I'm just using the thin side of this because I think it's easier to go along the edges with the thin side. Okay, so that's my squirrel. He's all colored. He's bicolor. He's many different colors. He's shaded. I'm going to take this little guy. And this is the pool party. I like to put little cute eyes on my squirrels and some of them. That's the pool party. And then for good measure, your Wink of Stella. You can always add Wink of Stella to everything. That's your little glitter pen, which we'll do, but we'll go ahead and, here, just so you can see. Our fun little squirrel, some little glitter. Okay, that's all, a little bit of glitter. And then now you have an instant, so it could be anything you want it to be. You can, if you don't have die cuts, this is from let's get the die cutting machine. This is from the Hippo and Friends. Let's just make a little bit of room. And if you don't have dies like this, fine, don't worry about it. Cut a square, right? But always do your stamping first, and then just kind of figure out what shape you need. Cut a square, do whatever you got to do. I'm using the big Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Kudos to anybody who joined my team this month and got this machine for $99 instead of its normal $120, plus a free bundle, plus $5 worth of other stuff. So you can pick out $125 worth of stuff and get this for $99 and free shipping, which is a smart way of doing a starter kit, I think. If you want to join Stampin' Up, that's a cool way of doing it because you get this machine, you get a free bundle, until September 30th. So kudos to the savvy shoppers who did that. And let's go ahead and shout out to Diana, the newest papered chef. All right, so now what I'm doing is, just so you can see, platform 1. Platform 2 is the thin die adapter. You got cutting plate 3. And now you put your little paper down. Now you put your die. There. I kind of think after all that work we did that we should use a little piece of painter's tape. What do you think, right? We don't want to mess this up after all that. Now your painter's tape does kind of tend to rip paper. So what I do is I use it. I have a t-shirt on right now. I'm using it, can you hear that, as a lint remover on my t-shirt. But even so, I won't want the branch to get cut off. Even so, I can just tape it out there. So if it does rip, it only rips that part of the paper. It doesn't rip my actual sentiment. And then we put our top plate, plate number 3. Boom, and we crank. And I should have put the cranker on the other side. See, the good thing is this is, although I'm right-handed, I didn't want to get in front of the camera, that you can use this machine in either direction. Okay, I'm just holding the top here. And it does have little feet. It doesn't wiggle as much on the table, but it's on a piece of plastic. That's why it's sort of doing wiggle. It's wiggling and jiggling. And there we have it. Da-da-da. We have a stitched, double stitch. It's really cool because you can use, if you want to use your paper, this part of the paper, it stitched that part of the paper too. I love these Hippo and Friends dies. So now we have a card element, instant card element, really fun. And now I will show you my projects after I say hi to you guys, or as I'm saying hi to you guys. I like to always, in my tutorials, take the mystery completely out of everything I'm doing and show you every step of the way. So here's what we just did. And I then took, so I was just trying to play around with this because I thought if I use some of this very vanilla, I won't have to do as much coloring, right? Because he's already vanilla. So you see how easy it is to do this Stamparatus technique and all the fun we just had with all of that. Now I like to refer back. I like a lot of my tutorials are related to other tutorials I've done in the past. Okay. Hi Donna Jo. Hi Yvonne W. Another paper chef. Okay, it doesn't sell. Thank you. Yvonne's one of the paper chefs, so she looked it up for me. Stampin' Up does not sell extra plates for the Stamparatus. So I either got these by buying 2 Stamparatus, which I know I've done many Stamparatus. I don't know how many I have. Or I think at the beginning they let me buy extra plates. That's what I think when they were having a promo when the product first came out several years ago. But either way, you can use 2 plates. Like I just used 3 plates, but you just use 2 plates and then you just keep changing up the section of your plate you use, or wash your plate off and use it again. But it's great to have 2 plates. And then another time in my Ink It Up, I'll do the hinges. I'll show you what to do with these hinges. This is, I think I've done it before with this border stamp, where you keep moving the move the hinge down, and you can then do stuff with these hinges and make really cool repeating patterns. So that's really fun. So Stamparatus is awesome. Yeah, both sides of the plates. Donna likes the, hi Donna, and likes the using both sides of the plates. Okay, and Patty's doing, oh, she's saying thumbs up. She's saying thumbs up for Kim. Thank you. Okay, hi Elaine from Utah. Love the squirrel card. You tape your cardstock to the mat. Yep, we did that. Great minds think alike. She's saying tape your cardstock to the mat. Alert was late for Pamela, but that's, hey, better late than never. If you're here, say hi. I want to kind of relate to what I did on this tutorial if you missed that one. It's another Ink It Up I did, and I'm going to relate this to a project I'm about to show you. Okay, my messy hands. That's a great name for your YouTube, my messy hands. Hi Terry, hi Nola, another paper chef. And thank you. Okay, so we have, and thank you Yvonne for your comment. We are going to look at these tags here because remember, if you haven't seen this, it's called Ink It Up. This is an Ink It Up series where I do all kinds of techniques. In one of the tutorials, I showed you how to take the Pattern Party Designer Series paper by Stampin' Up. It's a paper that you can get with your $150 order. It's $18, so it's like half price, and you get 48 sheets of 12 by 12 paper. One of the patterns had these leaves that were just white. I don't have a piece that's not colored, but that's what I showed you is how to use the daubers, these little daubers, and some water, mixed water with them. And I used cinnamon cider, and we colored in the leaves. So that's how I got this. Then I colored it out with the TaylorMade Tags Punch. Okay, I did another one with this paper that we used to have it. It's not around anymore. specialty paper, but see, it's kind of shiny, and then I had to use a hairdryer because I don't have my Stampin', what do you call it with me, the heat tool. So I'd use a hairdryer, but it was about to run if I wanted to heat set it. But I'm going to put a squirrel on this, and that's about you. Okay, so that's the idea behind how I got these. I colored that paper, and then here I took a piece of the ephemera from the Beauty of the Earth. This is the Beauty, oh no, not Beauty of the Earth, Blackberry Bliss ephemera pack. Ephemera is just a bucket of crafty goodness is all it is. It has cute little things, cute little shapes to stamp on. And I made this little tag. So these little gift-giving dies have these little leaves in it. So I used a different set of dies to get the leaves. But here's Mr. Squirrel. Now, you might be thinking, how did she cut out this squirrel? And I did that on the back. Well, I did this part, the nuts about you. Well, I die cut the leaves. I did this double oval punch for this little nuts about you. I'm leaving room for the tag. And I used the black and white gingham ribbon. I used the Acorn trinkets that are on clearance. How did I get this one? Well, you should know, if you've been watching my channel, I cut it out with the scan and cut. So I think a scan and cut tutorial on how to cut and layer stamped images is in order for this little cute, what is it called? Nuts About Squirrels stamp set, right? I think that would be a fun thing to use for the Brother Scan and Cut. So I might do a tutorial on that. It would be fun to do a tutorial on that. So anyway, that's how I got this. So a lot of die cutting, but then this was scan and cut. And you just have extra little tags, and I used cardstock on the back of the designer series paper because it was sort of warped. These are still on clearance, I think, as of yesterday, or the last time I placed an order, which just seems like every other day lately. Here's one with I took the die cut piece, the one that I just showed you how to use, the same set, it's the Hippo and Friends dies, and there was a smaller die. So you can fit the hay there with the squirrel on the smaller die. And then I colored Cajun Craze and then crumb cake marker, and that's about you on the back with the Acorn trinket and the black gingham ribbon. This ribbon is on back order. Can't get this ribbon anymore. You can get the pattern party paper I'm showing you, and you can get the gift giving dies. And of course, you can get Mr. Squirrel, the Nuts About Squirrel stamp set, which I'm doing the tutorial on, because that I made sure of. All right, so what else? In fact, we don't usually run out of stamps anyway. This you can still get. It's not going to go away on September 30th like some of the other things I show you, because this is in the holiday catalog, meaning this is in the catalog that's good until December. It's our mini holiday catalog. Now, although celebration will be over, you can still buy things from the mini catalog. All right, moving along. I have a bunch of cards to show you from this. So, unfortunately, this bedazzling paper that I've been touting all along. We colored it with the little sponge daubers. We've done tutorials on my channel with this paper. This paper is all sold out. The bedazzling stamp, it was a celebration item that you get free when you spend $50. But some of you bought it and were smart shoppers, so you can use it to accent your cards. The back piece that looks like little twigs is a piece, this is cinnamon cider card base, cinnamon cider, and look at this piece of Blackberry Beauty. Blackberry Beauty. I got to keep on repeating that to myself so I don't forget the name. This is the Blackberry Beauty, one side, and that's the other side. And you can make nice card bases with it. This is a piece of Blackberry Beauty ephemera pack, and I just used some Wink Stella for some glitter, or bling bling, a little extra bling bling, and Hippo and Friends dies. Okay, card number 1. Okay, I told you I have 7 projects. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Oh yeah, and then I'll show you what's in my candy box. Okay, this is a piece of, let's see, In Good Taste Designer Series paper. In Good Taste, it gives you that wood texture background. Lots of fun. I used a piece of this new cork. The cork specialty paper is in the holiday catalog. Remember I told you, don't worry if you start trying to use the sponge daubers and you end up all outside the squirrel. And I said, just go with it. Use your sponge dauber like you did it on purpose. There's my do it on purpose. So I started sponge daubering this part of the tail, and I was trying to get some crumb cake on it, and it went outside the line, and I just started making it sponge daubered everywhere. And that was fun. And this was before I discovered that was the inside of one of the leaves, like over here, the leaf. Before I discovered that, and actually I think it looks better without the leaf, but I was like, oh, these make cool little accents. And I love this statement, hope you're feeling bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I think that's hilarious because I'm always going, after I get my coffee, I'll feel bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, right? Here's another piece of that cork specialty paper, but instead of using it with the In Good Taste paper, I'm using it with the Blackberry Beauty paper. Same exact card. If you come up with a design in your head or just steal my design, I don't care. It's not even stealing. I'm giving you free permission. Use these designs. Make your cards. Don't try to overthink it. Just use this is a piece of 1-inch cork paper by 5 1/4. This is a regular card base, 5 1/4 by 4. Whatever you see here, feel free to use and make your own cards. Mass produce your cards with the Stamparatus. Okay, and this is a piece of that cork paper. This is a piece of Blackberry Beauty, and it's the crumb cake background. And lots of little leaves, extra leaves from the one called Gift Giving Dies. Okay, and then here's kind of that. I mean, this bedazzling paper, this is my favorite card because the bedazzling paper is it's so much bling, and it goes really well with the bling on the Blackberry Beauty paper. And I used the Blackberry Beauty ephemera up here to stamp onto. And I put 2 squirrels on this one. And of course my squirrels are cut out with the Scan and Cut, right? So they're fun to cut out with the Scan and Cut, and I made them different colors. And then I did the Nuts About You with this little punch here, making the bottom part flat, and Cajun Craze. I use Cajun Craze a lot, but I was trying to tie in the colors that actually go with the paper. So what goes with the paper is Cinnamon Cider and of course Blackberry Bliss. But then, so I was trying to tie in the fact that I use Cajun Craze here, so I tied it in with that. But fall goes with other, fall goes with other fall things. And then what you do for this one, unfortunately, if you like something, you got to kind of get them before they go. But these little pillow boxes are gone. They're retired now. But I do stock up on things before they retire. And here's another one of those Acorn trinkets. These are on clearance. When they're gone, they're gone. They're on clearance. And I just put a squirrel that I cut out with the Scan and Cut. I used the punch for this little guy. Hey there. And yes, it's called casing. Thank you, Chris. She says, so Chris Shuck said, oh, and there must be new peoples here because I just saw Chris Shuck. Okay. So she's saying, or he, can't tell. Okay. Casing a card, copy and share everything. So if you say, I cased that card, you could say, I cased the card from the Papered Chef, right? So it's the etiquette thing to do. I'm giving you permission, but you still, when you post your own picture of it, you say, I cased this card. So you make an exact card just like this. Maybe your colors are a little different. Use the exact measurements. Fine with me, right? Then you say, I cased this card from Papered Chef, and you post your own picture of it. And of course, it's going to be slightly different because no 2 cards are ever alike, and that's fine with me. In fact, I'm flattered. I'm not like one of those people that get offended. I get flattered as long as you say where you got it. Okay, now what was I saying? Black gingham ribbon, Blackberry Beauty, squirrel from the Scan and Cut. Oh, I was going to show you what's inside, and then we're ending. Okay, we're showing you that you can then give people treats with nuts inside. And it was all I could do. Okay, hi, Chris. Chris is a lady. She's a lady. Talking about my little lady. I don't even know if that's the words of the song, but I thought of it when you said I'm a lady. Okay, you put little nut candies in here. Right? So whatever you have. I mean, it could be a bag that's see-through. You could make a topper. You can make treat toppers with the squirrels. Right? So you can do whatever you want with the squirrels. But I put Almond Joy, because Almond Joy's got nuts. Mounds don't, right? We got almonds inside. These are little pieces of goodness. You can take your extra little papers, which I probably will do, right? Or probably this side, right? Cut them 1 inch by 3 1/4 and wrap your Hershey Nuggets in the paper to match the box, which is kind of fun. And a Snickers, which is probably not going back in the box. I'm just going to eat it because, that's how I roll. And that's about all for today. So I hope you liked seeing all kinds of Stampin' Up! Products that I used. And maybe you already have this bedazzling. You can't get it anymore, but it was a celebration item. But maybe you already have these boxes, or not, you're going to do your own treat toppers. You definitely can still get this cork specialty paper. It's flat on one side. It's very thin cork. You're probably thinking, oh, cork. It's really hard to work with, or cork, it's really thick. Nope, it's not really thick. Look how thin this is. It's very easy to cut and work with. It's very easy to use for accents. So you get, I think, 2 sheets of 12 by 12 in a pack. So that's all good. So that's what I use for this. You can still get the In Good Taste paper. You can get the Hippo and Friends dies. Those are in the annual catalog. And the Nuts About Squirrels is in the holiday catalog. So check out my link and you'll get to see all these different products. And Yvonne, a great suggestion for a bag of peanuts or anything like that you want to put in there that's nuts. All right, move that over. That's all for now. This is the Papered Chef. Thank you for joining me today. And I hope I made you as nuts about squirrels as I am.